So it's a Friday night. I have nothing going on. I'm in my apartment working on some marketing. Um, and this video is so serious that I set up my little tripod. Usually, when I do videos for you guys, it's just me shakily holding the camera. But this was so serious that I needed to go on and get the tripod because we need to talk about this coconut oil free and the journey to getting it on the shelves. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep this as short as possible. Okay, so as you all know, I was a natural hair blogger for 10 years. From 2008 to 2018, I had a website called Black Girl with Long Hair. I know, kind of ironic because my hair is really short right now, but it was a very popular site. Very, very popular. At one point, it was actually one of the highest traffic sites for women, period, in America. And obviously, it didn't get a lot of coverage because it's a site for Black women. And as you guys know, a lot of you, when it has to do with the Black subset, a lot of times it really doesn't get the mainstream attention. But there was a point where we were getting like 5 to 6 million monthly views. During that time, I didn't realize it, but it was basically 10 years of doing research and development. And the ingredients I kept hearing my readers talk about over and over again were shea butter and coconut oil in particular. Yes, cocoa butter, mango butter, some of these other things I incorporated, but it was shea butter and coconut oil that were bedrock. And one thing I noticed, by the way, is that a lot of women who had been natural for a while, like I'm maybe 7 years and up, they kind of migrated away from like holy grail products to finding the ingredients that worked for them and just sticking with those. And that's the journey that I've taken too. I went natural in 2006. I always had natural hair, but in college, I basically, like, it was always like silk pressed. And it was just like falling out because my hair is not strong enough for all that. And so, I went through the phase of trying this product, that product, and now I'm at that. I stick to my butters. Like, that's what works for me. I don't really deviate. I don't feel the need to. They keep my hair very healthy and thick and keep them from breaking, so I'm good. And so that was the beginning of how I came up with the concept of BGLH Marketplace. I was like, well, maybe I can just formulate products that have these ingredients that women find benefit their hair. And I later found out, actually, funnily, that these ingredients were also really good for skin and that shea butter and many of these oils were multi-use. But all that to say, I didn't really hear about any coconut oil backlash. There were some natural hair bloggers who were vocal about not liking it. The main one being Natural85. If you're a fan of, she's like an OG natural hair YouTuber. And she came out and was like, coconut oil doesn't do it for me. But even when she came out, she didn't really explain so much. I don't think she ever, because I follow her. I've been a fan of hers for a long time. She never really said why. She's just like, I don't like coconut oil. And people have different theories. Some people are like, oh, the protein in it, it has protein, which isn't true. Some people are like, oh, it makes your hair stiff and hard, which also, because it's solid at room temperature, which also isn't true. That those two things have been debunked. So to me, I was kind of left with like, so once I released my line of products and realized that people really liked them, and then I would just get these occasional people like, I hate coconut oil. I hate coconut oil. And it was just really confusing to me because I feel like, I'm like, why though? Why? Why do you not like it? Like with the almond oil, we have an almond oil free line. For that, I felt like people had a reason. They're like, okay, we have, peanut sensitivities and we want to stay away from that. Okay, that made sense. With the coconut oil, people were saying they didn't like it, but they just weren't saying why. And as my products got more popular, that chorus of like people who don't like coconut oil started to snowball. I would say we went from maybe one person every few months saying something to twice a month we would get someone emailing us, begging us like, can you do this without coconut oil? So I kind of realized, and what they would say is, we see other women using your butters and having these amazing results for hair and amazing results for skin, and it's disappointing that we can't participate in that. And we even had a few customers who bought it with the coconut oil anyway, even though they didn't like it and didn't have a good experience. So, listen, I'm trying to keep this video short. It's already at 5 minutes, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to keep this moving. So a couple years ago, I started experimenting. I was like, okay, fine. I'll swap out some ingredients and it will be fine. That proved to be very difficult. Coconut oil is a really beautiful oil to whip with because it is solid at room temperature. It really just gives a wonderful finish. It smells really good. And then also, it's one of the few oils that penetrates deeply into hair and skin. And one thing that people love about our butters is that they are not greasy. They don't sit on top of your skin. They're not oily. And some of that I attribute to the penetrating nature of coconut oil. Obviously, it's not all coconut oil because a lot of it has to do with our process, how we whip, our ratios. But still, the fact that coconut oil penetrates was a big part of it. So when we started experimenting with other oils, it was difficult. If we were a brand that just like had manufacturing done out of a warehouse, I could just change the form. I could go to a cosmetic chemist, be like, change this formula for me, put in something not coconut oil, then send it to a manufacturer, and they would like put everything in a machine and just, and then the product comes out. It's different for us because not only do we have to deal with ingredient, we also have to deal with touch and smell. And we're dealing with these ingredients raw. So in that sense, our process is more like a bakery than like a traditional hair care company. So we tried all these oils. We tried hemp. Hemp is a wonderful oil, but it spoils really fast and it really gave us this really sticky finish. The butters did not rise. And I remember like testing the butter and it felt really good, but it looked horrible. And I'm like, we have a reputation. We need something that's going to look pretty too, We already have this reputation on, like, if you go on our Instagram, it's like mouth drooling how beautiful our butters look. Like, we can't just be out here with something that looks sticky and green. We also had challenges with olive oil, jojoba, just a lot of things were really heavy. So, finally, I came across palm kernel oil. And palm kernel oil is similar to coconut oil in that it is also solid at room temperature. And I was like, great, my problems have been solved. It behaves similar. I didn't have to switch the formulas up too much. We're gonna slap in the palm kernel oil. We found a sustainable supplier because palm oil production is resulting in massive deforestation. So we found someone who was like, had sourced sustainable palm oil. We did it. We made the lemon and lavender, and that was it. We were good to go. Now, two things happened at this point. Like, whether you want to call it God, the universe, whatever, there are two things that happened that really changed the trajectory of everything. And it's the reason why this lemon and lavender in its current formula is going to be an extremely limited edition, and why I wouldn't recommend that you buy it if you have coconut oil sensitivities. Okay, but if you just like the smell and you're fine with coconut oil, you can buy it. The first thing is the labels got misprinted for the lemon and lavender. And that rarely happens, but we got them back from the printer. They were a mess. So we had to put in a new order for the labels, and that pushed the release date back. A few days after that, a lady came into our store. One of like our local customers. She had come in many times. Wonderful woman. She has a son who has really bad eczema, like where it's like you scratch it and like it opens up your skin, like the open sore type of eczema. And he's a sweet boy. I think he's maybe like 5 or 6. And she told me that our butters are the only thing that he'll apply because a lot of eczema medications don't feel good and they don't smell good. And she was like, your butters are incredible because they give him some relief and he likes to like play in them. So applying them, getting him to apply them isn't hard. And I get that because I have 3 kids and they play in my butter all the time. Like if it's home, I just know it's only a matter of time because it's like tactile. It smells good. It feels good. Kids really love that sensory stuff. But what she said is that it really was not providing the moisture that she was hoping for. And that really was a red flag to me. And at this point, we already had the palm kernel oil ready to go. But she was like, I think it's the coconut oil in it that's the problem. And those words just really, I was like, I really need to look into this deeper than I have. And just beyond just trying to, swap some ingredients quickly, I need to figure out why people don't like coconut oil. So, mind you, I'm not a chemist, right? And the thing about it, there aren't a lot of scientific studies that have been written about the effects of butter and oil on the skin. You have to remember that shea butter, coconut oil, mango butter, those all originate outside of the US. I think there are mango trees in the US, but shea butter is exclusive to West Africa. Cocoa butter, a lot of that is like done in like South America, Central America. I'm not sure Central. I'm pretty sure South. And mango butter is just not something. So like US literature, like the US cosmetic industry is just really just now catching up to these ingredients in a meaningful way, and not a lot of studies have been done. So I just started scouring the internet about like negatives of penetrating oils. And so I finally figured it out. What I found is that for some people, when they apply penetrating oils, it signals to their brain, okay, like we have enough moisture. Like you have the coconut oil in there, it's in the skin on a deep level, we have enough moisture, and we don't need to produce any more moisture. So the coconut oil actually triggers their skin to stop producing its natural sebum in the quantities that really are required for good moisture. That's why some people, they apply coconut oil and it dries them up, because their body is saying, well, you have it, it's penetrated, and we don't need to do anything. Not everyone's body responds in that way, but for some people it does. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And it's the same thing with hair. For some people, if they don't like coconut oil, they'll apply it, and what happens is, because the coconut oil penetrates, it crowds the strand for some people. And so additional moisture that really is important doesn't get in. It blocks the sebum from getting in. It blocks just like mist water from getting in. The coconut oil crowds it. So for some people, the coconut oil is it like comes to the party and it takes over everything. Now, for a lot of people, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen for me. Coconut oil works beautifully with my own natural oil production on my skin. Same with my hair. But the research that I found, and I found some really good research from a Black woman. She's a cosmetic chemist. She had an article written about, I think it was an article about coconut oil, and she contributed a lot of quotes, and they were really eye-opening. And what she said is that some people really do need oils that sit on top of the hair and skin. They need to give their own body a chance to produce its own natural oils. They need to spritz with water or whatever, and then have something that just strictly seals, that doesn't penetrate. That made so much sense to me, and that really changed my view on everything. So I went back to the drawing board and I realized, and then the other thing that I found is that palm kernel oil is very similar to coconut oil. It also is a deeply penetrating oil. So that's why with the lemon and lavender, I was like, well, this is not really going to be a meaningful alternative. If people are looking for a meaningful alternative to coconut oil, this lemon and lavender is not going to be it, because it contains an oil that's going to do pretty much the same thing. But I had promised y'all a release by the end of October, and this was like October 18 when I discovered all this. I was like, what am I going to do? Luckily, in the 2 years that I was working on the formula, remember I had mentioned that, I had notebooks full of different formulas that I had tried and which were the most promising. So I just went into hyperdrive. I went back through my notes. I was like, okay, maybe if I tweak this, tweak that, I can get something good. Because I had come really close before I discovered the palm kernel oil. I had come pretty close to having some formulas that were really good. And actually, for example, this is one that I tried. I've been using this at my house. This is one of the ones that was close. And actually, this is one of the ones that I just did a variation from for the olive oil whipped cocoa butter. So you see, it has a good texture and a good feel. I never went with it because it was a little too heavy. It had too much of a heaviness. But I had formulas that were close. Like, this is really close and it's really good. And I use it at home. So anyway, I tweaked one of them. And wouldn't you know it, on the first try, I got a gorgeous butter. It's mango butter, cocoa butter. I'm doing it in order of what's most. Cocoa butter, mango butter, olive oil, and argan oil. A beautiful combination. Like, I'm just like, it was my first try after doing that research on coconut oil. It turned out lovely. I had my assistants at the shop try it. They loved it. And I just felt comfortable enough that I started selling it in the store. We put the tester on the testing table, and I think in the first few days we had 3 people who bought. And we didn't have the labels for it yet. It was just sitting on the shelf in the corner without label. We scooped it, but we're waiting on our labels. And they bought it anyway. They were like, we'll take it. So going forward, we're not going to use the palm kernel oil anymore because it's too similar to coconut oil. So if you get the lemon and lavender, I wouldn't recommend it if you were looking for a pure coconut oil free option. If you're looking for the pure option, our olive oil whipped cocoa butter is the way to go. It is a gorgeous butter. It's really beautiful. I'm really glad I got the formula right. Our cocoa butters, our coconut oil butters, I think the coconut oil gives them more of a frosty finish, more of a puff. For the olive oil whipped cocoa butter, it's really like a silkier, smoother finish. But it's really beautiful. I tried it on my skin. Actually, shockingly, I like it a little better on my skin than the coconut oil butters. The olive oil really imparts a lot of softness. Like, that was the thing that got me shook. Like, my skin felt really soft, even softer than it does with the coconut. And I don't know if it's because it's sealing in more moisture or what. And this is not to disparage our coconut oil butters. They are beautiful butters as well. But I did like that olive oil whipped one cocoa better for my skin. Now for my hair, I did not like it as much in my hair. For my hair loves coconut oil. So I will just stick with my coconut oil butters. But you can try it for your hair. I mean, we're transparent on ingredients. So you can look at the individual ingredients. They're pure. We don't use anything that's shady. And if those are ingredients that you feel would be really good for sealing moisture into your hair, then go for it. So that is the long story. So we are going to continue rolling out these coconut oil free, olive oil, argan oil, some jojoba is gonna be the oil blend that we use. We're not going to use almond oil so that we can continue for people who have almond oil sensitivity, so they have more options aside from the 3 that we have right now. And we'll just continue rolling them out into probably the middle of 2020. It's going to take us a while to do coconut oil free versions of a lot of the popular products that we have. But starting out, this olive oil whipped cocoa butter, it's beautiful and it smells so good. Because like we use virgin olive oil, so it has that slight bitterness. And then the cocoa butter is really sweet. It's like how they tell you to put like a little bit of salt in hot chocolate to bring out the chocolate more. I feel that way. Like the chocolate smell is really beautiful and very intense. And I think it's because it has like that bitter undercurrent from the olive oil. I'm just really proud of this butter. I think that it's a beautiful, wonderful butter. And it just makes me feel good as a maker that my products are getting better as I go. To all the people over the years who asked for coconut oil free, thank you. Your feedback is really what grows the business. This video is about to be 20 minutes long, so I'm going to stop here. If you made it to the end, thank you. The links to buy the coconut oil free are below, and I will catch you guys soon.